Hi, I'm Paul.
Hi, I'm Annie, and this is going to be the birth story of our twins, Oakley and Sydney.
And we're sorry that this video is so late. It's took us a while to put it together. Obviously, we've had our hands full of beautiful baby twins. So we're glad to finally put this together and share our awesome story. So it started on Friday, June 1st.
Yeah, so Friday, June 1st, was the day I was 36 weeks pregnant, and that morning, well, first of all, let me say that we had been planning and hoping for a natural childbirth this time around with the twins. We had got some doulas and to help us, and we were planning our birth at the to be up at the U with the doctor who was very supportive of natural birth, and I was convinced that we would have the twins. I would be able to carry them 37 weeks or longer, and so we knew that they could come early because twins often come a little bit early, but in our minds, we were going to make it to 37 weeks or longer. So Friday, June 1st, I was 36 weeks, and so totally not expecting anything. And so that morning, I woke up and I was lying in bed, sleeping, but I woke up and I had some pains in my stomach, and I just remember feeling kind of like irritated that I was having these stomach pains, and it didn't even occur to me that they could be contractions. I honestly just thought, like, why am I having these gas pains? They're so annoying. I just want to sleep. And so I actually decided I had been listening to hypnobirthing CDs to learn how to use hypnobirthing during labor. And so I actually kind of replayed in my mind some of the sayings that they have and just tried to relax, like hoping that they would make the gas pains that I was having go away. And it didn't work. And I remember thinking, I really hope that hypnobirthing works better during real labor, when the time comes around than it's working right now, because it wasn't making, the pain wasn't going away like I thought it would. And so it was just kind of a funny thing. But anyways, so those eventually went away, and I went back to sleep, and we both woke up at just 8 o'clock the next morning to get up and get ready. And because I had an appointment for Connor up at the hospital, and Paul had work to go to and had an appointment. And so that morning, as I was getting ready, I noticed that I was starting to leak a little bit, and I didn't know, with Connor, I had what is called a high leak with him, so my water didn't totally break, but it was slowly leaking. And so, I thought, I wonder if my water is leaking again, or if maybe I'm starting to lose the plug.
Well, even with Connor, you had a little bit of a start to the water. Like that morning you had a little gush, and this time there was nothing. It was just
Right.
this little leak.
Yeah. So I didn't really know what it was, and it was just a little bit, so I was like, who knows what it is. But I'll just keep my eye on it, and so I went to my appointment that morning, and Paul went to his appointment that morning, and I got home at 11:30. It was about 11:30 when I got home, and I noticed I was still leaking, and so, and it was kind of increasing in the amount, and so I sent Paul a text message, just saying, hey, I think that it is my water that might be leaking, so, just so you're aware, I think that's what it is, and when you can, come home, but no big rush, not a big deal, just when you can come home, then great. So.
Yeah, come home when you can was the text message.
Yeah.
We better go in, come home when you can.
Yeah, and I sent that at like 12.
It's just after 12:30,
Just after.
like 12:40 or something.
Yeah, so about that time.
Something like that. And also, we'll just add in that with Connor, when we had this leakage going on in water, we had a good 12 or 14 hours of, or even longer than that. It was like 12 hours of labor and doing all that. So anyway, to just have our experiences with that. So she sent me a text, and I came home at about 1:10, 1:20, something like that, and we went upstairs together and started making a list of stuff to pack, because again, we were just dead set on having the twins the next week. Not only because it was 37 weeks, but that was when our one of our doulas was going to be back from vacation. So it was like they can't come until she's back. And anyway, so we started making a list, and it was just no big rush, no big hurry. We sat on the bed together making this list, and we laid down for a second and just was hanging out. But anyway, then I went downstairs to make a list or a schedule for Connor, whoever would watch Connor, and like a list of stuff he likes to eat and all this. And I was on the phone with my buddy Clayton, and we were talking about a video game, and it was 2:28 or something, so 2:30, and Annie came down to the landing.
Yeah, so as we were packing stuff, and Paul went downstairs like he just said, and then at like 2 o'clock, he had gone downstairs, and I was just kind of packing stuff upstairs still, and I noticed that I started to have contractions, and with Connor I had just back labor, so they were a lot different type of contractions, but I knew that they were contractions, and they were pretty easy, just breathe through them, and I just thought, this is what I'll labor with at home for a couple of hours.
So it wasn't a big deal. Like a couple hours, we're gonna be hanging out with these smaller contractions.
Yeah.
So then they got a little bit more serious, right?
Yes.
And then you came down.
So at 2 o'clock I got those, and they were easy, just kind of breathe through them. And then at 2:30, all of a sudden they just went from easy, breathe through the contractions, to super intense, like what is happening to my body right now, just crazy, painful contractions, and I think I had two of those types of contractions upstairs, just by myself, before I decided to head downstairs to find Paul to tell him things were getting pretty serious,
Yeah.
and we should.
So you came down to the landing, and I'm on the phone with my buddy, and he's like, oh, like leaning up against the wall. Oh, we should go to the hospital. So I was on the phone with Clayton. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. Annie's in labor. We're gonna go to the hospital. He's like, oh, cool, congrats, man, sweet. So we hung up. And then we came up here to the middle floor where we are now, and there's an app on Annie's phone that we installed that would time contractions. So we loaded up the app, and her next contraction started, and we hit start. And I was holding the phone, and you were doing the contraction.
I was just leaning on the couch, just having this super painful contraction, and
and I'm like, all right, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Is it over?
And he kept asking me if the contraction was done, and I'm like, does it look like it's done? I'm like,
no.
Bent over in pain.
So the contraction actually lasted like 2 minutes and even a few seconds after. So when it was done, I hit stop and I'm like, that's pretty serious, isn't it? So we better like go right now.
Yeah.
So ironically, that is the only contraction that is timed on the phone. We still have it. We might have to get a picture of it or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, we head upstairs from there, and I'm frantically throwing everything I can into a bag, getting ready to go, and Annie's on her side of the bed upstairs, has another contraction. We called our doula and said, hey, we're headed to the hospital.
We're going to head to the hospital.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on. Like, that was about it.
Yeah.
And then we called our neighbor, Jana, and asked if we could take Connor over there so that she could watch him while we go to the hospital. And so I'm talking to her, and she's like, oh yeah, no problem.
So when they were talking on the phone, I was having a contraction by the side of my bed, and I was standing at the side of my bed, and I was leaning over into the sheets, just yelling in pain. And I knew that Jana could hear me through the phone, and I just was like, I don't care, I'm in labor, I can make whatever sounds I want. And
Jana was like, I was wondering what was going on the phone. So anyway, so she said, oh yeah, definitely, no problem. And that was at 2:47, and later on we talked to Jana, and the conversation lasted 1 minute and 38 seconds, so a minute and a half, basically.
Yeah. And Connor he was taking his nap during this time, so that's where he was during this, the whole thing. He was in his room taking a nap, and
so I went to hang up the phone for Jana.
Yeah. So, just as they hung up the phone, I'm having this really painful contraction, and I just thought that, the only thing in my head was that I needed some sort of relief, and the only thing that I felt like would give me relief at that moment was to push. And so I pushed really hard, and my water just burst, just broke, so earlier when Paul had come home from work, I had actually just gotten out of the shower, and I was actually still naked. I never got dressed because I just figured we were going to be at home, and I wanted to be relaxed.
And we were in no hurry.
Yeah, and we were in no hurry, so
hanging out.
So my water broke, and I was like, I got to go clean up, and so I walked from the side of my bed to our bathroom, which is just connected to our bedroom, so it's really close. So I walked into the bathroom, and I just had this thought, I just had this thought that said, I bet that if I were to reach down and feel, that I could feel a head right now. And so I did. I reached down, and I felt, and I could feel a head. And so I said, I yelled, I can feel a head! Because I thought that Paul was still in the other room.
Right.
But I didn't realize that he had actually followed me right into the bathroom.
Yeah.
So I said that, I can feel a head! And I just knew that the baby was coming. That's just what was going to happen, and we were about to have ourselves some babies. And
I don't know what natural instinct took over me too, because I just knelt down on the ground into receiving position.
Yeah. So our bathroom is really small, and I just was standing there, and I said, I can feel a head. And I reached just over to the side where we have our towel rack, and I grabbed one of the towels, one of the bath towels off of the rack, and I threw it down in between my legs, and I reached back onto the shower rack for support, because I was having a contraction, and I just squatted, and with the contraction I just pushed as hard as I could, And
out came Oakley, just like that.
Yeah. And
Just like that.
Oakley was born, and Paul.
So I caught her, and I totally remember thinking in my head, I will never forget this image of me holding this baby and all this mess and everything, but how just beautiful it was to have this baby in my hands. And I caught her, and I cleaned off her face with the towel, and she started to cry, and she started looking around, and totally responsive. And then we wrapped her up in a towel, and then you knelt down.
Yeah, so, and I also remember just looking down and seeing Oakley and just her tiny little perfect body, and just thinking that she was so tiny and beautiful. And like Paul said, we had her wrapped up in the towel so she would be warm, and cleared off her face and made sure that she was breathing, and she was perfect. And I just remember like how awake and alert she was, and just looking around, and just thinking how cool that was, that she was just looking around and hanging out, and everything was cool. And
yeah. So then we wrapped her up, she knelt down, and I got my phone and called 911 at 2:50. So in between 2:48 and a half and 2:50, all of that we just talked about just happened. So it was a minute and a half, and between her water breaking, walking to the bathroom, and out came Oakley. So that was Oakley's birth right there.
And so like Paul mentioned, I moved down onto my knees because the umbilical cord wasn't very long. Sure. So I was down on my knees, and I had Oakley just in the towel in between my knees. And so I'd had some relief after she was born, and then was just waiting for another contraction because I knew that I still had another baby to give birth to. And so another contraction came, and I just, once again, I pushed, and in one push, Sydney was born, and
caught her too.
Yeah, Paul also caught her.
And that was about 5 minutes after we called 911, so they're about 6 or 7 minutes apart as far as we know.
Yeah. And so she was born, and Paul had a towel ready for her again, caught her, and
handed her off, wrapped her up.
Yep.
She started crying and looking around. And
yeah. So I had both babies. I just kept them in between my legs, both wrapped up in their towels, both just beautiful, and I don't remember them crying. So it was really cool to have the 911 call to listen to, because that's pretty much when I heard them cry for the first time, since I don't remember them crying during that whole thing. I just remember them being alert and awake and looking around. That's what I remember with the babies from that time. So.
Yeah. And I remember I was completely calm through the whole thing, like catching babies, cleaning them off, and wrapping them up, and changing towels, and doing all that. And I remember putting them next to each other, and then I stood up to look at them, and then my adrenaline caught up with me, and I started shaking a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, 2 babies there! Holy cow! It's so amazing!" So I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And you can actually hear that in the call too. I can't remember my exact words, but something like, "I can't believe there's 2 babies." But it's way cool.
And I was gonna say, and you'll hear it on the 911 call, but so one thing that we had planned on with the babies was something just called delayed cord clamping. So instead of the babies being born and cutting the cord right away, we were just going to, the doctor was going to wait a couple of minutes before cutting the cord, so that more blood could just get into the baby and get those nutrients and the different things that are in the blood. So we had plan on delayed cord clamping, and on the 911 call, the operator, you'll hear her, she's probably tells us like, I don't know, maybe
8 times,
eight
7,
times or something like that, to get a shoelace to, or a string to tie off the umbilical cords, and you know, and at the time, like, if we had really been like, if we had thought about it, we would have said we're actually not going to do that. But you know, it was a crazy situation, so it's not like we thought about that. So every time she said that, Paul was like, "Oh,
just a sec."
Just a sec.
Every time.
Every single time.
Like, oh, just a sec. I'm dealing with towels or whatever I
Yeah.
say. Like, just a sec.
Yeah, I mean, and he was doing something every time she said it,
Yeah.
but it was just funny because it's like we're kind of putting it off, you know, and
Right.
I just would have said we're actually not doing that, so you can skip that, you know.
Right. Because she's
Part.
reading script. You can kind of tell in the 911 call. It's pretty funny. So anyway, we'll play that as well. And so it took the paramedics about 12 or 13 minutes to show up to find our house. So they finally did, and then all of a sudden there are 8 paramedics in our room, medical equipment everywhere. My room has never felt so small, and they came in and clamped the cords and passed out baby 1, passed out baby 2, and they were just perfect. They were crying and they checked out amazing. And I just remember being in my room with all these paramedics, and they were just like holding the babies, just like hanging out.
Yeah, and I remember when they came in, I was still on my knees. I had the babies, you know, in between my knees, in their towels, and I was just kind of resting, I think, on my hands at that point. And the paramedics came in and they were asking me questions, you know, like, what is your name and what is your age, you know, 'cause I just making sure that I was okay and not like in shock or anything. And I was totally fine. I actually felt really calm at that point. So I was kind of amused that they were asking me the questions, because they probably, you know, I don't know, expected me to just be more crazy because of the situation. But it was just kind of funny because, you know, I'm there with the babies in between my legs, and I'm just totally naked, and there, you know, all these paramedics like coming in and out of the little tiny bathroom and in our room, and it's kind of that at that point, like, what do? You're just like, hey,
What's up, guys?
how's it going? I'll never see you again, so it's okay. And
Yeah.
So that was just kind of a funny thing.
So then they, one of the paramedics, as they were going in and out, told us, hey, one of your bishopric members are here to see you. So, because they saw 3 ambulances and a fire truck outside, or their son did, and then went and told them. Anyway, so Scott came over and showed up, and they're like, hey, one of your bishopric members are here. So I went to the landing up here and looked down at the doorway, and I was like, hey, Scott, how'd you know I was delivering babies today? And I have blood on my shirt and everything. He's like, what? Are you kidding me? I'm like, no, there are 2 babies in there. Just in my room. And then I was like, well, you're here. Why don't you do me a huge favor? Here's Connor. So he was really nice and took Connor over to Jana's house so Jana could watch him for us. But from then you just birthed the placenta, and then we loaded up into the ambulances. I took one baby with me, and Annie took one baby with her in another ambulance. Went to the hospital, and
yeah, and they were perfect. They had APGAR scores of 8 and 9. 8 and 9, and they were perfect. And
and they were 5 pounds, 2 ounces each, and 18 inches long, both of them. So they were literally identical little babies.
Yeah. And a question that we've got quite a few times is if we, you know, or at least I've been asked if I felt scared during that whole thing, because it was so unexpected, you know, and having twins at home, all the, you know, things that could have possibly have gone wrong. And my answer to that is no. I never once felt scared, and I never felt any fear, and I definitely attribute that to our journey and kind of preparing for a natural birth, and just that literally hundreds of birth stories and videos and different things that I read and that we read together and watched, and different things that prepared us for a natural childbirth, and that's definitely what we got, and it came in a different way, but it was perfect and it was beautiful, and I wouldn't change anything about it. The one worry that I had was, of course, that the babies would be breathing well and that everything would be fine with that, and that after the first baby was born, because we knew that both babies were head down, but there's always the possibility after the first baby being born that the second baby could decide, hey, there's a lot of room in here, and flip around and become turn into a breech position, and but that didn't happen, and they were both perfect, and they just could not have gone any better. They didn't have any problems with the cords being around their necks, or any problems with breathing. They were just perfect.
Yeah, they were great. And another thing that helped us prepare, or helped me more so, because Annie went through all these videos and stories and all that, but the doulas that we have, Angie has especially helped me kind of understand everything and answered a bunch of questions, and I felt way more prepared because of her. So doulas are cool.
Yeah, the doulas were amazing to have. Like, even though they weren't able to be there for the birth, like they were wonderful.
They spent a lot of time with us, teaching us and
yeah,
answering questions.
So definitely recommend doula if you're planning a natural childbirth. And then also I was going to say that the operator that helped us with the on the 911 call was super nice and
perfect. She was awesome.
Yeah, she was great, and
even though we
really
ignored her
helpful
instructions for the shoestring, which we feel kind of bad about, because I kept just saying just a sec, but she was awesome, and she's super nice, and you can hear her, and she's of course happy to do the call. You can hear it in her voice. She's pretty happy too. Cute. But anyway, we could talk for a long time about lots of fun things about the birth story, but that's pretty much the whole thing.
I do have one thing I was going to say really quick too. So just because I think it's cool the way. So a week before they were born, so when I was 35 weeks pregnant, I just was in that nesting mode and just wanted to clean. So I just thought, like, I'll clean the bathroom upstairs, and so I started cleaning, and what turned into just like a normal cleaning of the bathroom, it turned into like for some reason I just felt like I really have to clean this bathroom, like not just clean it, like I need to scrub like every inch of the bathroom and make sure just every single part of it was sanitized and clean, and so I'm like 35 weeks pregnant with twins, like down on the floor scrubbing away and behind everything and just making it totally clean, and I definitely think that was just something that the Spirit told me to do, so that it would be more clean for the babies to be born in the following week. So
totally inspired.
I think that was really cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's our cool birthing story. We've had lots of questions like while we tell the story, and obviously we could talk forever, it's true, but we just want to share that, and then we'll attach the 911 call to this video, so it'll probably be a pretty long video, but
it's really cool to listen to.
Yeah. So. And now it's recorded, and now our twins will be able to watch this video later and know all about their birth, which is awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for letting us tell our birth story to you. We were excited to do it, and again, sorry it's taken so long.
Yeah.
But now done, and it's good. Now you guys know our story, and
there you go.
That's it. Enjoy.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
Okay, my wife is pregnant with twins. She just gave birth to one baby, just like out of the. Yeah, so one baby is out, one baby is in.
Okay.
So.
Is this at your house or apartment?
House.
Okay, hold on.
Okay. Okay, do you need anything? And it's just me, wife, babies hanging out.
Okay, all right. How old is your wife?
27.
Is she awake? And breathing?
Who? Annie? Yes.
Okay, is that the second one?
That's the first baby.
Okay, and
She's
how many
just crying.
pregnant is she?
36.
Okay. So one of them is completely out, right? The other
One is completely out. Yes.
Are there any complications with that?
No, the baby just literally like fell out.
I am sending the paramedics to help you now. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is the baby crying or breathing?
Yeah, the baby was just crying. Baby's breathing, right?
Okay, for the baby that just came out, gently wipe off the baby's mouth and nose.
Wipe off the baby's mouth and nose.
Okay, dry the baby off with a clean towel or cloth. Okay?
Okay.
Then wrap the baby.
Clean, dry towel. Okay.
Cover the baby's head, but not its face.
Cover the baby's head, but not the face. Okay.
Okay, without pulling the cord tight, pull the baby in the mother's arms.
Okay, I need you to hold the baby. Hang on.
Okay, I know though that she's having another baby, so only do that if it's safe to do that, okay? Make sure that the cord's not wrapped around the baby's neck.
Yeah, the cord's free and clear.
Okay, be sure to keep the baby and the mother warm.
Okay, we need to keep the baby warm.
Okay.
Can you hold? Hang on just one sec for me.
Okay.
This is a clean towel.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I need my
Okay.
Okay, are you ready for the other one?
Okay. I'm going to put you on speaker.
Okay.
Okay, you got
Are you ready for the other baby?
be on speaker.
Okay, listen carefully and do exactly as I say. Where is she now?
We're just in the bathroom upstairs.
Okay, get the phone as close to her as possible. Lay her in the center of the bed or on the floor. I'm going to tell you how to deliver the baby. Okay. Make sure all the clothing below her waist is removed. Raise her head with pillows, but don't let her sit up or go to the bathroom, okay?
Okay, one sec.
Okay.
Can you make it to the bedroom?
No,
don't go. You don't have to go to the bathroom. Just lay her down.
Okay, can you?
No.
Okay.
Can you lay down? No.
Don't let her sit up or go to the bathroom, okay?
She's on her knees right now.
Okay, I want you to get some dry towels and a blanket to wrap the baby in. Get a string or shoelace to tie around the umbilical cord after delivery.
Okay.
We have them. They're on their way.
I'm gonna unlock the front door. One sec.
Okay. Do you know if the umbilical cord got tied for the other baby?
I don't know. There's just one placenta.
Okay. You haven't had the second baby yet, though, right?
No.
No? Okay. We're going to get some dry towels and a blanket to wrap the baby in.
No.
Okay. Okay, come on.
Okay. Do you get a string or shoelace to tie around the umbilical cord after the delivery?
No.
Okay.
my God. Have a baby.
Okay.
Have a baby. Hello. Hi.
Is that the first or second baby?
Second baby.
Oh, the second baby? Okay. Okay. So did you see the baby now? The other baby?
Yeah, both babies are out.
Okay.
Both babies are out.
You got him?
I got it.
Okay. Is the second baby crying?
Yeah, it's like him.
I got it.
Okay, gently wipe off the baby's mouth and nose.
I got it.
Dry the baby off with a clean towel. Then wrap the baby in a clean, dry towel. Okay? Okay, cover the baby's head but not its face, okay?
Okay, we gotta take the towel.
Do you have the towel? Okay. Listen, are you near the umbilical cord?
Sorry, what?
Okay. Without pulling the cord tight, put the baby in the mother's arms or on her belly and be sure the cord is not wrapped around the baby's neck. Okay? Be sure to keep the baby and the mother warm. Okay, is there anything wrapped around the baby's neck? Okay, there's nothing around the neck, right?
One sec.
Okay, are you ready to tie the cord?
What?
Are you guys ready to tie the cords on the babies?
No, we haven't done anything with the cord.
Okay, listen carefully and I'll tell you exactly what to do next. Without pulling on the cord, tie a string.
Just a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to need a couple strings or shoelaces. Do you have those?
No, I'm not going to try.
All right.
Are they boys or girls?
They're both girls.
Okay. All right. Now, do you have the strings?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So are you guys ready for the cord? Do you have the strings?
Hang on one sec.
Okay. Okay, you ready?
Wait one sec, sorry.
Okay.
Just casting towels and making sure.
You have all the towels now, right?
I know, it's actually falling out right now. But I need to change the towel.
Okay, so what you need to do, without pulling on the cord, tie a string tightly around the umbilical cord, about 6 inches from the baby.
So, switching the towels here.
Okay.
Go ahead and switch it. I'll take the towel out. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, both are opening their eyes, they're alert, they're awake.
Okay, so without pulling on the cord, tie a string tightly around the umbilical cord. You're gonna do this on both of them. Okay, let me know when they're right there with you, okay? It looks like they're almost there.
Okay, I'm just gonna wait for it.
Yeah, put it right here then.
Okay. Put it on my way.
There's the fire truck. No, we can get it. Are you okay?
Are they there with you?
The front door's open.
Yeah, the front door's open.
Okay, what's your name?
Paul.
Paul? Okay, Paul, you
Paul
did
and
an amazing job. Let me know when they're right there with you, okay?
Okay, I will. These little fools just hanging out. They're just like looking. Oh, I'm sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What up? Good out to you, baby girl.
Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Annie, and this is going to be the story of
A birth story.
Start it again. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Sorry. Like.
Alright. Hi. Sorry. Hi, I'm Paul, and this is Annie, and we are going to share another version of our birth story because...
I want to introduce myself.
Oh. I'll put Bella away, too.